What happens when a struggling single mom gets humiliated and kicked out of a restaurant, not knowing the man watching everything unfold is a billionaire who had reserved the entire place? Sometimes karma comes in designer suits, and justice tastes sweeter than any five-star meal. If you love stories where the underdog gets justice, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales. My name is Sarah Martinez, and I need to tell you about the day my entire world changed in the most unexpected way. It started as what I thought would be the perfect day, my daughter Emma's 6th birthday. After working double shifts as a waitress at a diner and cleaning offices at night for 3 months, I had finally saved enough money to take her somewhere special. Not just anywhere, but Bella Vista, the fanciest restaurant in our city. I'll never forget the excitement in Emma's eyes as we walked up to those glass doors. She was wearing her best dress, a little pink thing I'd found at a thrift store and spent hours mending. I had on my only blazer, the one I wore to job interviews and parent-teacher conferences. We weren't dressed like the usual clientele, but we had every right to be there. I had made a reservation 2 weeks prior, and I had saved every penny for this moment. The hostess looked us up and down the second we walked in. Her name tag read, Victoria Ashworth Manager, and her expression told me everything I needed to know about what she was thinking. "Do you have a reservation?" she asked, her voice dripping with skepticism. When I gave her our name, she checked her book with the enthusiasm of someone looking for expired milk. "Martinez, party of 2, right?" She paused dramatically. "Follow me." Emma squeezed my hand and whispered, "Mommy, this place is like a castle." She wasn't wrong. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, soft piano music filled the air, and the tables were set with more forks than I knew what to do with. But Victoria led us past all the beautiful window tables, past the elegant dining room, right to a cramped table next to the kitchen doors. The constant swinging of those doors and the clatter of dishes made conversation nearly impossible. "This is your table," Victoria announced, not even bothering to hide her satisfaction. Emma didn't seem to mind. She was too busy staring at everything with wide-eyed wonder. But I felt every stare from the other diners. Their whispers weren't as quiet as they thought. "What are they doing here? Look at what they're wearing. This isn't that kind of place." What I didn't know was that in the corner booth, partially hidden behind a marble pillar, sat a man who was watching everything unfold. His name was Marcus Sterling, though I wouldn't learn that until later. He was quietly having coffee, waiting for his business associates to arrive for a dinner meeting. He had, in fact, reserved the entire back section of the restaurant for privacy. But more importantly, he was seeing something that reminded him of his own childhood. A single mother trying to give her child a moment of magic in a world that seemed determined to crush their dreams. Victoria returned with menus, slapping them down on our table with unnecessary force. "I should mention," she said, loudly enough for nearby tables to hear, "our portions are quite generous, and our prices reflect the quality of our establishment. I want to make sure you're comfortable with that." The way she said comfortable made it clear she hoped we weren't. Emma was too busy reading the kids' menu to notice the insult. "Mommy, they have dinosaur chicken nuggets. Can I get those?" Her innocent joy in that moment almost broke my heart. Here was my little girl, just happy to be somewhere special on her birthday, while adults around us treated us like we didn't belong. I studied the menu, calculating quickly in my head. I had saved $300 for this meal. It should have been more than enough. "The dinosaur nuggets sound perfect, sweetheart," I told Emma, then looked up at Victoria. "We'll have the children's dinosaur chicken nuggets, and I'll have the Caesar salad." It was the least expensive option I could find. Victoria's eyebrows shot up. "Just a salad? For dinner?" Her voice carried across the restaurant. "Are you sure you wouldn't prefer something more substantial?" The way she emphasized the word made it sound like an accusation. Other diners were openly staring now, some even pulling out their phones. Emma looked confused. "Mommy, aren't you hungry?" Before I could answer, Victoria continued her performance. I just want to ensure that you're aware our children's meals are $28 and the Caesar salad is $35. Plus tax and tip, of course. She was speaking loudly enough for half the restaurant to hear, making it clear she doubted our ability to pay. That's when I noticed him, the man in the corner booth. Unlike everyone else, he wasn't staring with judgment or pulling out his phone to record our humiliation. Instead, his jaw was clenched, and his hands were gripped tightly around his coffee cup. He looked angry, but not at us, at the situation. The dinner arrived, and Emma's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Look, Mommy, they're really shaped like dinosaurs." For 20 minutes, I watched my daughter experience pure joy, chattering about how the mashed potatoes looked like clouds and how the green beans were like little trees. In her innocent world, this was the best restaurant in the universe, and she was having the best birthday ever. But I could feel the weight of every stare, every whisper. When other children at nearby tables received elaborate birthday desserts with sparklers and singing waiters, Emma noticed. "Do you think they'll sing to me too, Mommy?" she asked, hopefully. My heart shattered a little more. "We'll see, sweetheart." When Victoria returned with the check, her smile was predatory. "That'll be $78.43, she announced loudly. I reached for my wallet, confident in the money I had saved so carefully. But when I handed her my debit card, she returned a few minutes later with the expression of vindicated satisfaction. "I'm sorry," she said, not sounding sorry at all, "but your card has been declined." The words hit me like a physical blow. I knew I had the money. I had checked my balance that morning. But then I remembered the bank had charged me a $15 overdraft fee earlier that week when my electric bill payment processed a day early. I was short by exactly $3.43. "There must be some mistake," I said quietly, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. "Could you try it again?" Victoria's voice rose to a theatrical level. "Ma'am, I've tried it twice. Do you have another form of payment?" Every conversation in the restaurant had stopped. Even the piano player had paused. My daughter was looking at me with growing confusion and worry. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Emma whispered. I fumbled through my purse, counting the few crumpled bills I had brought for emergency taxi fare. $26. Not enough. I can call my bank. This has to be an error. I have the money." But Victoria was already playing to her audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for this disruption. It appears we have a situation where someone has ordered food they cannot pay for." She was practically announcing it to the entire restaurant now. People were definitely recording. I could see the phones pointed our way. "Please," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's my daughter's birthday. If I could just call my bank." "I'm afraid that's not how this works." Victoria cut me off. "You'll need to settle your bill, or I'll have to call security." She was enjoying this, actually enjoying humiliating a mother in front of her 6-year-old daughter. Emma started to cry. Not loud, dramatic crying, but the quiet, heartbroken tears of a child who doesn't understand why her special day is turning into a nightmare. "Mommy, why is everyone looking at us? Why is the mean lady being mean?" That's when something inside me broke. I stood up, fighting back my own tears, and reached for Emma's hand. "Come on, sweetheart. We're going home." "But I didn't finish my dinosaurs," Emma said, looking back at her half-eaten meal. "I know, baby. I'm sorry." Victoria followed us toward the exit, making sure everyone could hear. I hope this serves as a reminder that Bella Vista maintains certain standards. We can't have people coming in here who can't afford our prices. Other diners were nodding in agreement. One woman actually said, "Good for you, Victoria. You can't let just anyone eat here." Another man muttered something about knowing your place. Emma was crying harder now, asking over and over, "Why are they being mean, Mommy? What did we do wrong?" I couldn't answer her because I was crying too. 6 months of saving, 3 months of working extra shifts, all for this moment that was supposed to be magical for my little girl. Instead, it had become the most humiliating experience of my life. We were almost at the door when a voice cut through the restaurant like a knife. "Excuse me." Everyone turned. The man from the corner booth was standing now, and something about his presence commanded immediate attention. He wasn't particularly tall or imposing, but there was an authority in his voice that made the entire restaurant fall silent. Victoria's demeanor changed instantly. The color drained from her face as recognition dawned. "Mr. Sterling," she stammered. I didn't realize you were still here." Mr. Sterling. Even I knew that name. Marcus Sterling, the tech billionaire who had started with nothing and built an empire. His company had created half the apps on my phone. But what was he doing here? And why did Victoria look like she was about to faint? "Actually, Victoria," he said, his voice calm, but carrying an edge that made everyone lean forward. "I believe you're mistaken about something rather important." He walked over to where Emma and I stood frozen by the door. Emma had stopped crying, more curious than scared now. He knelt down to her level and smiled gently. "Happy birthday," he said softly. "I'm sorry your special day was interrupted." Then he stood and addressed the restaurant. "You see, I reserved the entire back section of this restaurant tonight for a private business dinner, but my plans have changed." He looked directly at Victoria. "These ladies are my guests." The silence in the restaurant was deafening. Victoria's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Your guests? That's right. And I have to say, I'm appalled by the treatment they've received." His voice grew harder. "In fact, I'm reconsidering my investment in this establishment." Investment? The plot twist hit everyone at once. Marcus Sterling wasn't just a customer. He was an investor, possibly the major investor, given Victoria's terror-stricken expression. "Mr. Sterling, please, there's been a misunderstanding," Victoria began. "The only misunderstanding," he interrupted, "was yours. You assumed that someone's worth could be measured by their clothing or their bank account. You humiliated a mother in front of her child on the child's birthday. You turned what should have been a beautiful memory into a nightmare." He gestured toward our table. "Please, would you join me? I believe Emma's birthday dinner is far from over." But here's where the story takes its most unexpected turn. The twist that no one, including me, saw coming. As we walked back toward the restaurant, Emma tugging on Marcus Sterling's hand and chattering about her dinosaur chicken, he stopped suddenly. He was staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. "Sarah Martinez," he said quietly. "Martinez." I nodded, confused by his reaction. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was old and faded, but I recognized it immediately. It was a picture of two women standing outside a small apartment building. One was me, much younger, maybe 19 or 20. The other was a woman I hadn't seen in 15 years. "This is my mother," he said, pointing to the woman next to me in the photo. "Elena Sterling. She used to work nights cleaning offices downtown. She always talked about a young woman who worked the same building, who was kind to her when no one else was. A young woman who was pregnant and scared, but determined to make it work." He looked at me with tears in his eyes. "She used to bring you extra food from home. You probably don't remember, but I did remember. Elena, sweet, gentle Elena, who spoke broken English but had the warmest heart. She had been like a guardian angel during the worst period of my life. When I was pregnant with Emma and had nothing, she would leave little care packages for me, homemade soup, warm bread, sometimes just a kind note in Spanish that I would translate using a dictionary." "Elena was your mother," I whispered. "She passed away 3 years ago," he said softly. "But she never stopped talking about you. She always wondered what happened to the brave young woman who was going to have a baby. She prayed for you every day." He paused, his voice breaking slightly. "She would have loved to know that baby grew up to be as wonderful as her mother." The restaurant around us seemed to disappear. Victoria, the other diners, even Emma's chatter faded into background noise. This wasn't just a random act of kindness from a stranger. This was the universe completing a circle that had begun 15 years ago in the hallway of an office building, with a kind woman who shared her lunch with a scared pregnant girl. Marcus led us to the best table in the restaurant, the one by the window overlooking the city lights. He ordered everything on the children's menu for Emma and insisted she try whatever looked good. He told the kitchen it was her birthday, and within minutes, a parade of waiters appeared with a cake covered in sparklers while everyone sang. But more than that, he told me about his mother, how she had cleaned offices for 20 years to put him through college, how she had sacrificed everything so he could build his company, how she had taught him that kindness was the only currency that truly mattered. She used to say that the measure of a person isn't what they have, but what they do with what they've been given, he said. She told me about you because you were proof that being kind doesn't cost anything, but it can mean everything to someone who needs it. As the evening went on, Emma fell asleep in her chair, exhausted from excitement and sugar. Marcus and I talked about everything, about struggles and dreams, about raising children and chasing hope, about the way life has of bringing people together in the most unexpected moments. When it was time to leave, he walked us to my car. "Sarah," he said, "I want to offer you something, but I don't want you to feel obligated. My company is looking for a regional manager for our new community outreach program. It's about connecting with local businesses and families, helping bridge gaps between different parts of our community. The salary is $90,000 a year, plus benefits." I stared at him in shock. "Marcus, I can't accept charity." "It's not charity," he said firmly. "It's recognizing talent and character. My mother saw something in you 15 years ago. Tonight, I saw the same thing. You have exactly the kind of heart and perspective we need." 6 months later, Emma and I were living in a beautiful apartment across town. I was thriving in my new job, using my experience as a working mother to help Marcus's company connect with families in our community. Emma was in a wonderful school and had become Marcus's unofficial little sister. He spoiled her terribly, and she adored him. Victoria, she was quietly let go the following week. Marcus's investigation revealed a pattern of discrimination that the restaurant chain couldn't ignore. She struggled to find work in the hospitality industry after word spread about the incident. But the most beautiful part of this story happened on a quiet Sunday morning. Marcus and I were having coffee while Emma played in the park nearby. He pulled out an old photo album and showed me page after page of pictures his mother had kept. Pictures of me that I didn't even know existed. Elena had apparently taken photos of me over the months we worked together, wanting to remember the angel girl who had brought light to her difficult job. "She never stopped believing that you would make it," he said. "She used to say that some people are put in our lives to show us that goodness still exists in the world." As I watched Emma play, laughing and carefree in a way she had never been when I was struggling to make ends meet, I realized that Elena had been right. Goodness does exist. Kindness matters. And sometimes, just sometimes, the universe has a way of making sure that people who choose to be good to each other find their way back to each other. The video of that night at Bella Vista did go viral, but not in the way Victoria had hoped. It became a story about dignity, about treating every person with respect, about how you never know whose life you're affecting when you choose kindness over cruelty. But more than that, it became our story. Emma's and mine and Marcus's. A story about a scared 19-year-old girl who was kind to a lonely woman in a hallway. A story about that woman's son who never forgot the lesson about goodness his mother taught him. A story about how love and kindness, planted like seeds in the darkest moments, can grow into something beautiful years later. Elena Sterling was right. Some people are put in our lives to show us that goodness still exists. And sometimes, if we're very lucky, the universe makes sure we find our way back to them. If this story moved you, imagine how many families out there right now are just trying to create one special memory, just trying to belong somewhere, just trying to be treated with dignity. Hit that like button if you believe everyone deserves respect, regardless of what they're wearing or what's in their bank account. Share this story to remind someone that kindness always comes back, and subscribe, because in a world that can be cruel, we all need more stories that prove love wins. What would you have done in Marcus's position? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, you never know whose life you're changing when you choose to be kind.